talk a little bit more about tonight, man. What happened? What happened just now?
Tonight was magic, right? It's especially important for me to think about my evolution as an artist. That I came here 5 years ago to East Meets Words as a 19-year-old and performed a song just by accident and fell in love with the space, the safe space that was for me, and I felt welcomed. And then I came year after year, did one song year after year, and I was like, all right, it's time. It's my time. I'm gonna go out there and show them what 5 years has done to me. And tonight was magic. I think it was just powerful to share music that I've written about my life, but also songs that I love and who I am, and put it out there on the stage and have the audience be so receptive.
So one thing that struck me, like literally, I was sitting with, holding hands with my girlfriend, and we had Franny and BB and so many folks in the room, and literally, dude, during your set, I mean, it was we should have had the tissues, because everybody was just I was talking about the collective consciousness earlier, but dude, you brought us in, and we were just living that emotion with you. And man, I mean, I'm still, I think that's why we're trying to chat now, is because I'm still feeling it, So I don't know if you want to talk about your experience in that moment with us, because
I think that's, some call me cheesy, some call me emotional, but that's just the only way I know how to tell stories, I think that's the only way I know how to tell my truth. I'm not the most confident writer, I'm not the most confident something, but through music and through singing and songwriting, that's the only way I can tell my truth, and that's the only way I can express myself. When the world is crazy, that's the only way I know how to express myself and how to find release. And that's not the goal, but the goal is to just share. Our stories are different. What I'm experiencing in life and love, in pain, in suffering, whatever you think it might be, is not the same as the person in the audience, right? Every single person in the audience. But what I try to do is say, for this moment in time, let's all share together these collective feelings that we might have, and music is the way I do it.
Because that I think was one of the dopest parts about it, was you could see that while you were singing and reflecting about your own story, you started out with the story about home and your immigrant story, and so many folks in the room, that's their story.
Absolutely.
And so even though for you have your own imagery that you're thinking of, man, it's like you singing that song, that allowed everybody to experience or reflect back on their stories.
Yeah.
And so, man, I don't know if you want to just rap a little bit about that and kind of how.
Well, it's always scary, right, to be so vulnerable, and that's not the goal. I'm not trying to be vulnerable, but I think vulnerability is a way in which you allow people to see who you are as an artist. Because I think if people don't see who I am, and they're like, there are no pretenses here. I'm not a professional singer. I'm not a professional songwriter, whatever that means, right? But I have things to say, and I have things to convey, and allow them to see my own stories. I think there's always a risk, because you never know if the audience is going to buy it and if you're going to bore them. But I just know for sure that at East Meets Words, that's going to happen, because the audience is there with you, and it's people who buy into the space, and who treasure the space, and who value the space, who come time and again, and who keep building the space every time they come, right? And I think that's what's really powerful about this space. For me, I said it at the beginning of my set that it's a safe space, but if I didn't believe that, then I couldn't allow myself to be vulnerable. But I absolutely believe that, and I think that allows me to create and let go and be unafraid about messing up, be unafraid about being vulnerable, and really sharing my story as it relates to me, and let the audience take whatever it is that they can relate to.
It's beautiful, man. So maybe just in closing, I mean, you've kind of been rapping a lot about it already, but you want to talk just a little bit more. So the bookstore for us, obviously, for me, it's a labor of love. For so many of us, it's a labor of love. And really, I think for a lot of what we're trying to build is to take that transformative feeling and that transformative energy and amplify it, right? Like have more people experience that kind of feeling of vulnerability and safety. And yeah, man. So I wonder if you can just you've been reflecting already a little bit, but just a little bit more about kind of over the past 5 years, your own journey as an artist, and then how checking in here has kind of like helped to shape that, and hopefully a positive and way for you.
What can I say about East Meets Words? I've literally grown up as an artist here in this space. I've seen it transform, and I've seen myself transform with it. I came here as a 19-year-old, scared, shaking, and I left that very night. I remember so clearly. I left that very night just feeling like this was a space for me to tell my story, and it was okay for me to tell my story, and it was valued, and it was important, and it was powerful for me to share my story. And I think that never left me. And in 5 years, I came back, maybe just once, twice, 3 times a year, and perform maybe just one song. But in supporting others and others supporting me through my one song, I really gained that confidence and that capacity to allow myself to be courageous enough to perform. And I know that sounds like big and grand, but I think it's really powerful and important to recognize that to get on stage and to perform by yourself is a really brave act. I was scared as heck, and I really had to take a chance. But knowing that the space was there to cultivate whoever I was, whoever I am, whoever I want to be, and that I'll get feedback, positive feedback, to help me grow as an artist, and that's the goal of the space, is really important. And I think for me that space is really, really powerful and sacred in some ways. And I love sharing and telling people about the space.
Dude, man. Beautiful. Well, we can go downstairs and kick with everybody. That was amazing, man. Teng, yo. We'll do hugs. Hugs. Teng Yang. East meets West. Bookstore. EMW Bookstore. EMW the
Absolutely.
Bookstore.
Best place ever.